Today I'm talking to a lady. If you want to explain who you are and what you do.
Hello, my name's Jemma Wilson and I own Stepping Stones Preschool at Vars on Elam.
Okay, Gemma, how long have you had Stepping Stones for?
I took over Stepping Stones 3 years ago now. I'm in my third year of trading.
Okay.
Still good.
So prior to that, what were you doing?
I worked for the lady that owned it previous. So I used to work at a nursery. Decided to start a family. Was lucky enough that I didn't have to do a 40-hour week.
Yep.
So left when I had my first child, Eden, who's 7 now, and started working for Sarah about 15 weeks after having Eden. Just 3 hours here and there just to cover shifts, and then it built up that way. Had a second child, and then 3 years ago Sarah decided that she'd like to be a teacher. Moved to the UK where her family was and do a teaching qualification. And I'd always said to her, if you do sell, because she would talk about wanting to be a teacher, if she would give me first refusal, and she did, and here I am now.
Okay, so what was your career before that, leading up to working in childcare?
That was it. I was 16, left college, worked at the nursery for 9 years, and then left to have a baby.
Right, so you had plenty of experience before you started up yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a floater, not a very nice term, but that's what I was. At the nursery, which was great for me because I got to work across the whole age range of the nursery, which was from 3 months to rising 5 to school age. I did, however, actually start off in the baby room, and then I changed my job role within the nursery. And then before I left, I think I was permanent in the baby room again.
So your nursery now, what sort of ages of children are you looking after?
I was preschool now. Nursery is slightly different because they can take children from much younger. But a preschool, you can take them from 2 to rising 5s. They don't have to be out of nappies. We'll take anybody that would like a place and try and accommodate each individual's needs.
So you're taking kids from 2 to 5?
Yeah,
Do they
that's
mix
right.
well?
Yeah.
Do the ages mix well together?
Yeah, I think so. You've got a lot of older ones that like to comfort the younger ones, which is, good for sympathy and empathy. And the younger ones look up to the older ones. With the funding now, you kind of get more older ones than you do the younger children, which seems to balance itself out quite nicely, and creates like a nice flow in the room with the different ages.
Okay, do you want to expand on what the funding is?
So the funding is everybody is entitled to 15 free hours a week childcare over the course of, so that's term time only, so that's not all year round. You don't get it through the summer or half terms, end of term holidays. But as long as your household isn't earning above, and I think it's 120,000 per year, you qualify. I know, wouldn't that be nice? You qualify for the 3 hours. So I mean, it's nice they've got a cap on it, because you'd have thought, at that kind of income, in my eyes, you'd be doing all right. But everybody's got their own struggles, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you how up and down business is in Guernsey. My little business, there would have been 1 year that I wouldn't have been able to qualify for that.
That's a great year.
It was. I went up to about 18 stone, but yeah.
Take away. Yes, no cooking.
Pretty much. So where does the 15 hours funding come from?
The States of Guernsey, the Education Fund. That's pretty much where it comes from. Yeah.
And do you think it's beneficial for the taxpayer to have those 15 hours free for everyone?
Yeah, I do. I'm not brilliant with the ways of the world when it comes to tax and politics and where things come from and where they need to go. But I do feel like the 15 free funded hours are essential for our Guernsey community. Because there's some families out there that really are in need, and I'm really grateful. Families with vulnerable children, it just it's a nice constant for everybody, and it really prepares them well for school. Ideally, in the model world where the money was free flowing,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be brilliant to have the 2 years before school with the funding, but obviously money is limited. I feel like we'd get a better sense of who the children are as individuals. You can learn a lot in a year, but I feel like you can bond a lot more over 2.
Yeah.
And almost learn with them.
So with the 15 hours free, you suggest it could be longer. Do you see children that are coming in purely to just to make use of the 15 hours, and then that's it? As soon as the funding's gone, they stop coming in.
Well, yes, but there's some. The way you say it makes it sound like they're just doing it because it's free, but some parents are just doing it because it's free, because they wouldn't be able to do it otherwise.
Yeah, okay. What my meaning behind it is there's people that can't afford more than that, basically.
Oh, absolutely. And there's some families that do just 15 hours. There's some families that will do 9 till 2:30, which is kind of like a whole day, but they just pay the extra kind of hour and a half a week. But then some will do the full week. There's a real difference. I suppose it depends on, what kind of family you've got around, what kind of income, I'm sure there's more factors than I'm aware of why people choose the hours that they do.
Yeah, see, we've got a 3-year-old. He's about to turn 4 in February. To disclose mine and your relationship, you own the play school my little boy goes to. A lot of my work is done from home. It's basically over the phone or emails. And Nikki, my partner, she's employed by me, so she's at home a lot of the time as well. So we're both home. Our little boy's at home with us, and we were taking him out to places, and he'd be really shy. He'd be fine with adults, and he'd talk really well. He just wouldn't mix with other children. He'd find it really difficult. So we could obviously see that he was lacking in like social skills, basically, and how to play with other children. Because we didn't really have the need to send him to a play school because we were home most of the time anyway, and we could take him out with us. But because he was lacking that, we started him up with yourself just about, I don't know, 18 months ago. And I mean, I was dreading it, like missing him and things like that, and him breaking down. But it wasn't too bad, and he loved it, and he's now got his little friends, and he loves going there. He loves the teachers, or I don't know, what do you call yourselves? What's your term?
Probably for parents, I go with preschool teacher. I'm an early years practitioner. We used to be called nursery nurses, which I thought was way more fun, but they don't call us that anymore, and we're not a nurse, so.
I suppose it's good for the little ones to call you teachers, so when they go to school, it's not something completely different.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It does make me laugh. Like they'll call you Miss Jemma and Miss Kristen and Miss Cheryl and Miss Sue, Miss Laura. They've all got their little favourites as well. But yeah.
Oh, Susu. Everybody loves Susu.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all also different.
It's good to see the social interaction between them as well, like the playing and that. When you go to pick them up, they all come running around you. They're like ducks at the park, like they come running around you.
Yeah.
So the premises you've got, did you inherit that with the business?
No, when I took over, it was a really difficult time. The KG5, as everybody's probably aware, has been kind of developing, and changing for the better. I mean, the building's amazing. I do the health commissioner in there, and I'm in and out of there quite regularly. I get to see it. I get to see what's going on down there, and it's lovely what they've done. But unfortunately, there was no room for a preschool. A certain stage had hit, and unfortunately, that came at the time of takeover.
Yeah.
So when I bought, it was really tricky trying to take over a business that then didn't have a property to run from. So it was a manic search trying to find somewhere. I really wanted to stay within the area, in the kind of Cattel catchment, only because I feel like Cattel is quite a central-ish parish. You know, if you're going, I was hoping at that point people would be driving past us to go to work, or they live in the area, or and just felt that it was a good area for a preschool.
Yeah.
And there wasn't too many around, because there are quite a lot of childcare providers. But yeah, it was a real struggle at the start, trying to find somewhere that was suitable, that was aware that, you know, a preschool is demanding, can be demanding on a building, you know, with little fingers everywhere, and wear and tear can, you know, take its toll. You know, some of that was going to be understanding of what we're trying to provide.
Yeah.
And luckily we found Farzan Church, Pastor Matt, sorry, he was great. And it's a lovely place. They adapted the outside area so that we can free flow outside. Whereas at the KG5, we had a small outside area so we could open the door and the children could play outside. But obviously it was quite tiny. But now it's quite big, which is lovely. Open the door, the children can choose whether they want to be inside or outside. On days that are really not very nice, you know, heavy rain, hail, that kind of super winds, because it gets bad because we're quite near the coast. We've got our next door neighbours are also brilliant. They own a field, so we do the daily mile like the schools do.
Yeah, that's good. They actually get a little bit of out and aboutness with you.
Yeah, a bit of fresh air, a bit of exercise. They call it the daily mile for the schools because it started in schools, and it was children sat down at desks, you know, and they wanted those children to be getting up and about, not just sat at a desk all day getting some fresh air. But obviously with preschool it's slightly different. You don't have to do a mile because those children never stop all day, so it really is just about getting outside with them.
Yeah, because another thing I see you do with the kids is you have different themes, like well, for instance, I'm not sure whose idea it was. I thought it was Miss Kristen's, but with the boxes, the cardboard boxes, and you actually appeared in the media for that, didn't you?
Yeah. Kristen is so into, I mean, we all are, I don't, you know, we all love children and we are
Yeah.
all into jobs. That's what makes my team, you know, that's one of the aspects why I think we're such a great diverse team. But Kristen is on another level. She is so creative. She's in the world of childcare. You know, when she's at home, she's reading about what other settings are doing around the world. You know, what's coming out in the news, and she saw the article. We were saying, right, well, you know, we needed some more numbers. Basically, honestly, we needed to build up our numbers. Kristen said to me a while ago, we need a niche. You know, we need something that sets us apart from everybody else. And I was like, okay. You find me one of those. This was slightly before the last lockdown. I'd heard it was a low birth rate as well. The 2 years previous in nurseries, preschools could struggle with numbers, things like that, or things I don't really think about, but factors that are very important to us. And that's when she said about the niche. And so she remembered an article that she had heard about a long time ago, or read, which said that the setting took away every single toy for 3 months. Now we did it for a week, and we kept out some constructions, like only wooden though, like some construction style toys, just to, I don't know, it seemed like a really big leap to take away everything. So we kind of went into it a bit gentle. We hung canopies from the ceiling. We kept some tables and chairs out so that they could, and some blankets so that they could make their own dens, and just loads and loads of boxes from DHS. Bless him, I think the man down there thought I was mad. I was like, got any more boxes? Like, why are you back again? But yeah, and they loved it. And one of Kristen's, well, the media contacted us. It turned out it was somebody that knew Kristen. She asked to come in, and the radio also contacted us. And it was both BBC, but they contacted us individually.
Right. Okay.
They weren't kind of talking to one another saying, oh, I'm going to go, you know, so that was quite flattering that two different style of medias that didn't know the other one was in contact was trying to contact us. So that was really nice. So yeah, Kristen spent, I don't know, it was probably an hour on BBC Radio one day as well as having the little bit in BBC News.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's their job, and you sort of expect them to be good with kids. But some of the interaction I see between, I'm only there for a short while. When I drop him off and pick him up, but you do get some challenging kids there. I think my little boy's probably one of them. He's quite hyper, and I've actually seen Miss Cheryl. She's like the enforcer. But she knows how to control them. Like it's good, and they like her as well.
Yeah.
I know Otis will go straight for her sometimes. Sometimes it'll be Miss Laura he wants. Sometimes he's got a little toy in his pocket that he's desperate to show Miss Gemma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Trains him.
it's funny how they are with the different personalities there. Have you got any plans to expand at all?
I mean, you never stop thinking, you never stop dreaming. Obviously, it's not my building. There are limitations. However,
Yeah.
I do really feel like we excel in our layout of the room, our topics, trying to switch it up all the time and keep it a bit interesting, but with having those constant, they say, you should kind of adapt different areas of your room. So obviously not the boxes, that was very extreme, but that doesn't happen every week. But instead of taking away the kitchen, you should change it into something else, because there are some children that will walk into the setting, and if it was completely different, it would just be too much, bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
So just to change different areas in the room. And I got to say, it's more from a practitioner's side, less about control, more about manipulating the situation to do, like almost turn it around. So a lot of distraction in preschool. Look at this over here. Oh, you'd really like this. Let's go and get that. Yeah.
So you're at capacity at the moment?
No, we're not at capacity.
How many more kids could you take?
I could take at least 6 a day.
More?
6 more, yeah. But we've had, when we first started, when I took over from Sarah, I was really fortunate the books were full, because people did say, why didn't you just start it up from scratch? Why did you buy an established business? What's stopping you from starting up your own independently? If you're moving buildings. But I honestly feel like that was the best decision, even now after, was to buy the preschool with the full books, because that meant the full books I could pay the business back.
Okay.
We had a great arrangement. Sarah, brilliant. She's just awesome. So I gave her a lump sum. And then also, don't mind sharing this, I hope she doesn't mind. She was in uni. She was living with her parents and she was in uni. So a really good solution for the both of us was for me to pay her back in monthly installments. So it meant she had monthly pocket money while she was at school. And I didn't have to borrow so much, and we were both really happy with that arrangement. It worked really well for both of us.
I've got no idea how old you are. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
No, I think I'm 32.
You think?
Yeah. I always say think, because if Eden's around, she's like, no, maybe you're not. But I'm definitely going to be 33.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you 29 when you were in your 20s when you bought the business?
Yeah, late 20s, probably. Yeah, turning 30.
So were you a homeowner then as well when you bought the business?
Yeah, I was, but I'm sure I'm not the only one. I wouldn't have been a homeowner if it wasn't for my parents.
Right. Okay.
If my mum wasn't in such a secure position in her life and done so well her career, I wouldn't have been in that position I am. There's, especially with childcare, you're not in it for the money. Even the owners, of preschoolers, I'm not sure if it's a bit different for nurseries, because I think the income's probably a lot higher. However, the stress that goes with that, in my eyes, is just not worth it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of give and take, but yeah, you don't go into childcare for the money. You definitely do it for the love, and if you're doing it for the money, you need to change careers.
Yeah. Okay. So your staff, do they have to have regular training?
We're doing CPDs all the time.
Can you explain what those are?
So continual professional development courses. They are provided to us mostly. I mean, you can seek them online and other places, but the State's early years team are great at providing us with opportunities from speakers, updating our child protection, updating our first aid, and food hygiene has to be updated regularly as well. Those are the three that need regular updating, but then there'll be more. Kristen, again, hilarious. Go to Kristen, right, I would like all my staff, but I have to sit down with Kristen.
Yeah.
Like all my staff to do at least one CPD per term. So it's 3 a year. I don't think that's too bad. Usually they're like a couple of hours of an evening at the rundown. Kristen, I'd really like you to do a CPD. She's like, oh, but I feel like I've done them all already, she's saying. And I'm like, well, you know, the other girls are doing it, you know, things do change. You know, you'll go through the CPD diary online, because the early years put on a great CPD online diary, and see if there's any that take your fancy. Because Kristen, remembering that Kristen's been in this business for longer than I have, you know, she's well aware of the childcare world around her.
And she didn't she train in America? She's from Florida, isn't she?
She is from Florida, but she didn't train in America.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the college she trained at, but it's pretty well known around the world.
Okay.
So if you were a member of the royal family, or you were a professional sports person, you might seek somebody that's come from this college. But I, for the life of me, can't remember what it is. Anyway, she was saying, yeah, Kristen, please, you know, well, which one are you going to pick? Well, Gemma, if I'm honest, I'd rather just do my own. I was like, fine. You want to do your own? You do your own. So I'm not sure at the time she was completely expecting me to, but one of the early years team members phoned me. I can't remember what it was about. And we were talking about CPDs. And I said, oh, Kristen would really like to do her own. And she was like, oh, well, you know, what would she do? And I was like, well, she'd probably be definitely creative, you know, something creative. She did, you know, that's her personality. That's what she wants to do. Oh, fine. All right. Yeah, well, we can see what we can do. Anyway, a couple of conversations later, she's booked into the CPD diary, taking courses at Laurent. She's the one providing the course. So, I mean, yeah, she blows my mind, but she is hilarious.
If you had the opportunity to give a directive towards the States to help your business, what would it be?
Is it feasible to have the 2 years before school? Other owners might say different, but for me and for my business to be secure in the future.
Okay, and sell to them the why, the benefit to the taxpayer.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's beneficial for the children, I'd say, because when you start preschool at 3.5, you are probably quite a lot more aware of the way of the world, knowledge and understanding of the world, and it can be harder for children to settle in at that age, because, you know, those heartstrings, and children are so clever.
Yeah,
you know. Well, whereas when they're a little bit younger, it's almost a little bit of fun, you know.
Yeah,
they don't see it's quite so serious.
Like I said, me and Nikki recognised that Otis needed that social interaction with other kids, because he was sort of going into his shell when he'd come across other kids his own age. With bigger kids like his cousin who's 9 and adults, he was fine, but with children his own age, he just didn't want to mix. I suppose you've also got the chance, and I'm not saying that any of your kids' parents are like this, but there is also the chance that you've got kids that are vulnerable because of the homes they're in, that the 15 hours would really be beneficial to get them out of that environment.
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody, you know, all the settings have got families that need not just want it, but need it more than others, whether it's busy homes, financials, sense of being, you know, feeling overwhelmed as a parent. That 15 hours can benefit someone's mental health.
It's investing in our future, isn't it? It's investing in our future workforce.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot more children are going into school at perhaps a slightly lower level than they were. They're not seeing the skills from reception age children as they were kind of 4 years ago.
Right.
Personally, I think it's got a lot to do with technology. I'm so worried about it. I can't let my girls have, children have got their own tablets and things, which is fine, because, you know, that's every parent's right to parent how you want to.
Yeah.
But when you're seeing it and hearing it from early years, at the reasons why, you know, they're trying to encourage people into preschools. You know, it's for these reasons, because children need that, whether it's socially, whether it's speech and language, whether it's their dexterity, whether it could be a whole array of things. But that was the theme with the boxes. The idea behind the boxes was the same. You know, you can take everything away from a child, everything, and leave them with one thing. And if you leave them there long enough, and the hardest part for us was not interfering or giving them too much guidance with how they can play with things, but really try and take a step back and watch them figure out what they're going to do by themselves.
Exactly.
I see a lot of like outdoor preschools, and I think, but what do they do? You know, there's no toys. What are they doing? But those children are happy, and they can make fun out of nothing.
Otis he's got lots of jigsaws and stuff, and Nikki went and bought him these wooden blocks. They're shaped like Christmas characters. You got one like Santa, a Christmas tree, a snowman.
You bought them in. I love that.
Last night I went to make sure he was tucked up in bed, and he had them all lined up on his little bedside table, like literally lined up in a neat little line next to his pillow. And he does play with them, and like that's playing with them over all his little Hot Wheels cars and his Disney character cars, and so they will play with stuff like that. But it's just a matter of keeping them away from those electronic devices and screens.
That's it. I think every parent's got their concern, their worry, their, you know, insecurities about, you know, whether they're doing things the right way. You know, I think as long, there's got to be a balance. You know, if you're gonna, I've just done a speech and language course, and they were talking about TV, and they said, you know, don't rule it out. You can watch your Octonauts, but the best thing to do if you're going to watch TV is to watch it together.
Yeah.
And then talk about what you've just seen, you know, what you've learned, the new the different languages in there. Octonaut is probably a good one, because, you know, there's different species all the time. I think Otis has come about squids to me, or octopus. I'm sure it's one of the two. And spraying ink, and you know, you don't always think about it, but it's things like the word spraying, or even ink. Like, when do we learn those words? But if you're sitting down and watching a program, and then you're talking about it afterwards, it can turn into a worthwhile half hour of telly. If you know what I mean.
Regardless of what people think about the BBC, the CBBS is, I've noticed everything on it is actually educational. It's all teaching them something. Whereas you could turn it over to another channel and it's just commercial tact, basically. If you've got iPlayer or anything like that, it's one of the best ones to put on, really, because you can just leave them with anything. We're in lockdown at the moment again, and this time you're not even allowed to look after vulnerable and key worker children, are you?
No, not for this week. We had actually made the decision to close it anyway.
Right.
It's hard, you know. I want to be there for my families, but also I have to make a business decision, which is really tricky. And last time we closed, and if I had opened, there was a strong chance that at the end of the month and a half, 2 months, I wouldn't have had, the business wouldn't have lasted. I wouldn't have had much of a business to go back to. You know, I did the co-payroll with the staff so that the girls could all get paid, because, you know, I love my team. I'll do as much as I can for them.
Yeah.
And I made the same decision again this time. We're lower on numbers this year. We're not struggling. We're getting by, and actually I'm appreciating the slight drop. And I think I'll cap it lower next time. I usually cap it about 22. We can take 24. I usually cap it about 22, so that if any parents got any emergencies or anything, or they need to change, then there's space for our parents that are there already.
If anyone's listening and they're listening up to this point and they're a parent in Guernsey and they're looking for somewhere for their kid to go, I can really strongly recommend your nursery, because I'm really picky on who looks after my Nipper. No one has babysat him yet because I'm just really overprotective. Nikki moans at me about it. But yeah, I mean, I trust you lot with his life. Basically, he
Yeah.
enjoys it. He learns things. He comes back and he's chatting about you all night. But yeah, I'd recommend you for
I
someone
really appreciate
another nursery.
it. No, it's always love a bit of good feedback, positive feedback.
Yeah.
Is always welcome. No, I really appreciate it. We do try hard. I took
Yeah.
on a business, employed all my friends, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes that can't with friends, eh? Friends and
No,
family.
I had heard that, but Laura, she's a beast. She keeps me on track. Kristen's the endless knowledge of creativeness. Cheryl's also very creative, but a very steady member of the team.
Yeah.
And Sue, the younger ones, I'm not sure what it is. They just flock to Sue. They're just so. I don't know. She doesn't know either. But Sue's got some really strong attachments with some of the children. You know, well, the children have got strong attachments with her. Yeah, which is kind of, inwardly a bit annoying for me, but it's fine.
It must be upsetting to have to say goodbye to him if you've had him for 2 or 3 years as well.
It's really hard. It's really hard, and especially when you've had the 2 years with them, you get a bond. Like, I've cried when children have left. It is hard, and I was really lucky when I had my two, because it meant that I could stay in touch with quite a few of them. But it's not just the children; it's the families as well. You get a bond with the
Yeah.
families. Preschool's great because parents can come in and they can have a chat, and you can tell us how they've been, and there's enough staff to children that you can take that time and you can listen to everybody in the morning, which is necessary because children just aren't the same day to day, and that they are no two children are ever going to be the same as the other. And when you go to school, it's just you kind of post them through the box and that's it. You don't see them for the whole day, and then they get posted back out at the end. You're like, oh, are they okay? And they're like, yeah, walking off. Oh, all right, I'm glad you had a good day.
Yeah. You know what you should do during lockdown is a little live or a little video every day, like a 15-minute video or whatever, just going through something for the kids, just so they remember your faces and they get to see you.
Yeah. Well, we did because me and Laura qualified in sign along. Well, like a foundation, is a very basic course. We were just doing the extension pack, but obviously we did the first week, and now the next 2 weeks are cancelled. We'll do those at another time. But the children really love the sign along. Last lockdown, I did a lot of sign along videos.
Yeah.
This time I really wanted to do, because my favorite time is register, when you can sit down with them all and they're really interactive. I love that. And we don't, we try not to shout, and the room is so big and get so loud. So instead of shouting, hey, it's time for the register, we'll start singing in the book corner.
Yeah.
And as soon as we start singing our good morning song, all of the children will run to the book corner, and they will immediately come and sit down and be quiet. So I kind of wanted to do our register time.
Yeah.
So if I started a video by me singing, I'd be really intrigued to see if or like what the children's reactions would be if they heard. So if a parent had the video in a separate room but within earshot of the child,
Yeah.
or if they started playing the video in a separate room, the child would instantly feel that, oh, it's that time, and move to where the sound was coming from. I'd really like to do that. So I think I will. I just need to try and get into work at some point and get our days of the week board. But it does mean that people are going to have to listen to me sing, and I apologize. The children think I'm great, by the way, and that.
You should definitely do it, because Otis, when he knew I was going to be chatting to you, he said, I want to say hello. I want to say hello. So when I've finished recording, I'm going to take this downstairs and let him just say hello to you.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jemma, I'm hoping people found that interesting. I found it interesting myself, just yabbering away. But hopefully lockdown finishes sooner than, well, no one knows when it's going to end, but hopefully it finishes a
No.
lot sooner than the last one.
Gotta make the best of a bad situation.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do at the minute, keep myself occupied and help other small businesses and just give ourselves exposure, remind our government that small businesses exist, not just the big corporations, and that we need a little bit of assistance as well and a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
But anyway, Jemma, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Ross.
Nice one. Bye-bye.